Marshall for Lessons.io. Let's go on Broadway today and find out what it's going on, okay? This is a neat song that was done years ago, of course, aren't they all? We're going to play this in the key of D to start with, and then we're going to throw in some modulation later on, okay, just for fun. But let's look at the chords and the chord structure. Okay, we're going to start with a D, and then we're going to go to C. That goes back and forth like that for a number of times. And then it's going to go to the G, to the F, a number of times. Then it's going to come up to the A. And then it's going to start again at the top of the order, to D. So what we need to play the song in the key of D is D, C, G, F, and A. Not necessarily in that order, but those are the chords. So we want D, C, F, G, and A. So let's get all of those chords straightened away. They're regular chords. These are not minors. They're all major chords. That's a D major chord. That's a C major chord. That's a G major chord, an F major chord, and the A. Now you could do this with sevenths if you like. Just take your pinky off and you've got a seventh chord. Not too much of a difference when you play it like that, right? What makes this song sound so neat is the way everything is played. Same with most songs, and this one is no different. So we're going to attack the chords on this one. This is not a folk song that's real pretty and neat and everything. This is going to be a nice rock and roll song that's got lots of energy to it, okay? So when we hit it, see? Like that. We don't want to hurt anything, of course. When I say attack it, I mean give it some energy. Now here's what's interesting. You hear that sound that we get with these two chords. That's D to the C. Now when it's time to change, we go to that G chord, right? But now listen to the way the sound is. It's the same thing. Hear that? It's the same. So once you learn one, you got the second one too. Just make sure you're playing the right chords, of course. We want the D chord to the C chord. D to the C. When we get here, it's going to be G to the F, G to the F. And then the last sequence is from the F to the G to the A. And then we start again with our D chord. Okay, so for continuity, let's see what that looks like. But before we get to the continuity, let's look at how I'm hitting the chords. We want to attack it, sure, but the first chord is done with a downstroke. But the second chord is done with an upstroke. So, you see I'm starting here with a downstroke, and I'm starting with the C chord on the upstroke. And each of the chords is receiving 3 strokes. But you don't want it to sound like a waltz now, so watch out how you do that. They say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. Say there's is the same. I'm hitting the downstroke on the G chord and upstroke on the F. Okay, and then when I'm going to come up with the final 3 chords, you'll hear that in a second. Okay, so from the beginning, say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. Yeah. When you walking down the street, you ain't had enough to eat. So this section over here, same thing that we did over here. But at the very end of that, we're going to come up here and hit that A chord. Okay? Now the A chord is your turnaround chord. This chord tells us that we're now going to go back into the original starting chord. In this case, it's the D chord. Okay? Verse. But when we go to the second verse, let's make the song more interesting by changing the key. So now we're going to go from the D chord to the E chord. But our fingers are going to stay the same way, okay, just like we did here. Now we're going to be playing E to D. And when we go to the second part, which used to be G to F, G to F. Now we're going to be doing A to G. And at the end, when we finish up the sequence, it's going to go up to the B chord, right? And then, of course, that leads us right back into the E chord, because the B in this case is now our turnaround chord. All we did was change keys, and our fingers stayed the same way. We played the chords the same way, but we just played it a step higher. Okay? So, and for the transition, this is what it would sound like. Go to our D, but as soon as you go to the D, just hit that D and go right up on the E chord. See? So from the bottom here we go. Right there, see? This is our turnaround, original turnaround chord, our A chord. We just hit our D, and then you go right into your E chord. So instead of going back and playing for our second verse, we're going to be playing that's the second verse that starts out with the girls, okay? They say the girls are something else on Broadway. Now, of course, change over here to our next chord structure. Chord again. Okay, that's our second key. But now if we want to make it a little fancier, because there's 3 verses to the song, we can bring this up again. So we started in our D, then we brought it up to the key of E, and then we can bring it up to the key of F sharp. Everybody thinks that's kind of weird, right? F sharp. But it sounds pretty good, okay? You can start it anywhere, of course. But going from the key of D to the key of E to the key of F sharp has a nice sound to it, especially if you can sing it like that. There's another thing too. If you can sing it in these keys, you don't have any trouble going up and down the neck, because the lowest chord that you're going to hit is that F chord in the very beginning. When we did this, see, that's as low as you want to go. But if you were starting out in this key of C, then you'd have to go back up on the neck because you run out of neck down here. So the starting chord of D, starting key, works very nicely. Now we're in the key of E. Now of course we're at the G, no problem. Then there's our turnaround chord. There's our starting chord in the key of E. It's our second one. And now we can go up into the F sharp. So it's a very nice sounding song if you play it with all those key changes. Here's a little trick. To change keys, let's make believe we come to the final sequence here. We're up on our A chord, which is our turnaround chord. And then we hit that D just before we go to the E. You can go from the D to the E, or you can go, and that tells everybody's ear that, yes, we're changing keys now, see? So you can add that in if you like, you don't have to, of course. Then when we're up here on our second chord and we come back down, now we want to change it again to the key of F sharp. So now we're up here. Okay, so we've got, to just recap quickly, we're starting out in the key of D. There's all your chords right there. And then we can hit that D chord and then start with our key of E. Change key again. Now, of course, there's many ways to play this, many ways to do the key change. You could go from the key of D, and instead of hitting the D, you could go right up to the E. So, okay, so any way that is comfortable for you to do that, and it's always good to have several things that you can do that are different. It gives more variety to the song as well. So you can go right from the 5 chord right to the 1 of your next key. All depends on your timing. Okay, so we have the song in 3 different keys. All the fingering is the same, it's just that you're playing those particular chords in 3 different places on the neck, but the chord structure is the same. 3 verses, 3 different keys. Have fun with this song because it's really a rocking tune and everybody loves to dance to it, even the cameraman. I'm Doc Marshall. I'll see you next time.